Welcome back to The Observable Unknown. Today's letter comes from Dr. Lien V. She writes, Dear Dr. Rey, your discussions of microbial dialogue reminded me that symbiosis is chemistry's poetry. Do you think evolution has a syntax? Could our genetic grammar be the universe learning how to conjugate life? Sincerely, Dr. Lien V. Dr. Lien, you've asked the kind of question that risks being too beautiful to answer scientifically and far too scientifically interesting to leave as poetry. Does evolution have a syntax? I think it has something very close to one, but it has no grammarian. DNA does possess an alphabet, though a very small one: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. Within protein-coding regions, sequences of 3 bases form codons associated with amino acids, yet the linguistic comparison becomes even more interesting when we move beyond genes and look at regulation. Promoters, enhancers, and binding motifs help determine when genes are expressed, where they're expressed, and how strongly they're expressed. Their effects can depend upon position, spacing, combination, cell type, and surrounding molecular conditions. Scientists now use the phrase regulatory grammar quite literally when studying these patterned relationships. Recent experiments with human promoters have found positional preferences and complex interactions among regulatory motifs. So there's something resembling syntax. The same biological element can produce a different result when its position or context changes, but this isn't language in the human sense. A gene doesn't contain a complete meaning in isolation. Its consequence emerges inside a cell, an organism, an environment, and an evolutionary history. Biology doesn't merely ask, what does this sequence say? It asks, what can this sequence do here? That brings us to your beautiful phrase, symbiosis is chemistry's poetry. I think that's exactly right. Poetry changes meaning through arrangement. A familiar word placed beside an unexpected one becomes newly charged. Symbiosis does something similar with living systems. 2 organisms enter a relationship, and capacities appear that neither possessed in quite the same way alone. Consider the marine bacterium Vibrio fischeri. These bacteria produce and detect chemical signals. As those signals accumulate, they alter patterns of gene expression across the bacterial population. Inside the light organ of the Hawaiian bobtail squid, that coordination helps govern bioluminescence. The bacteria aren't exchanging sentences. There aren't any nouns, metaphors, or declared intentions. Still, there's a signal, a receiver, a threshold, a context, and a coordinated response. That isn't human speech, but it isn't mere chemical solitude either. Life notices life through consequence. Some of evolution's greatest changes have come not from one organism defeating another, but from organisms entering relationships so consequential that the participants could no longer be understood in isolation. The mitochondria inside nearly every cell of your body descend from bacterial ancestors. Over immense spans of evolutionary time, what had once been a separate organism became part of the cellular organization upon which complex life depends. Genomic evidence continues to support a shared alpha-proteobacterial ancestry for mitochondria across eukaryotic life. Symbiosis didn't simply preserve 2 existing forms, it altered what a living unit could be. That's why I'd say relationship isn't ornamental to evolution. Relationship is one of evolution's great authors, though even that word gives it more intention than it actually possesses. And your choice of the word conjugate is remarkably apt. In bacteria, conjugation is an actual biological process. Genetic material, often carried on plasmids, can move from one cell to another through direct contact. Traits don't always travel only from parent to offspring. Sometimes genetic material moves sideways across lineages, entering a different cellular history and acquiring a new set of consequences. So life really does conjugate, not only in the grammatical sense of changing form according to context, but through the physical exchange of genetic possibility. One organism carries a sequence, another receives it. The sequence enters a different relationship and begins participating in a different future. Yet we should be careful with the second half of your question. Is this the universe learning? Not in the way a nervous system learns. Evolution doesn't foresee, intend, or select a destination. Mutation doesn't know what will be needed. Natural selection doesn't imagine a better organism. Genetic drift has no preference, and extinction offers no explanation. Evolution has no future tense. It has no sentence it's trying to finish. What it does have is retention. Variations appear, conditions test them. Some arrangements persist long enough to reproduce while others disappear. The surviving forms alter the conditions under which later forms must live. What looks like learning is the accumulation of consequence. What looks like grammar is the repeated survival of certain arrangements over others. This is where your question touches my relational topology of consciousness. I've argued that consciousness doesn't emerge as a sealed object, complete before relationship. It forms across systems of recognition, memory, culture, language, time, and meaning. I wouldn't claim that genes are conscious or that microbes possess human interiority, but biology offers a striking parallel. A sequence acquires consequence through relationship. Its position matters. Its cellular setting matters. Its ecological setting matters. What surrounds it changes what it can become. Relation doesn't merely connect finished things. It helps determine what those things are. There's also a connection here to my system of narrative architecture. Plot is what happens. Story is how what happens changes relationships. A mutation is something that happens. Its evolutionary story begins when it changes the relationship between an organism and its environment, a host and its microbes, a predator and its prey, or one generation and the next. These things are all very much the same. Sequence may provide the event. Relationship determines the story it enters. So, Dr. Lien, does evolution have a syntax? Yes, provided we understand that its syntax wasn't written in advance. It emerges through constraint, exchange, repetition, variation, and selection. And is genetic grammar the universe learning to conjugate life? Poetically, yes. Scientifically, I'd say that matter enters living arrangements. Some of those arrangements reproduce, and their survival changes what becomes possible afterward. But I wouldn't surrender your phrasing too quickly, because perhaps life's deepest conjugation was never I live, you live. It may have been I alter you, you alter me, and what continues is something neither of us could have become alone. If this mailbag made you reconsider whether life is written inside genes or negotiated through relationships, make that known. Leave a rating or a review, not for recognition, for signal. So chemistry's poetry may begin wherever one form of life changes what another form is capable of coming. Until next time, remember, you don't become what you feel, you become what you return to, and what you return to returns as you.